Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or are watching this channel for the first time, it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues and we try to come with logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So, for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I want to let everybody know that currently I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And I see we already have a comment. Let's see what the comment said. Okay, just one moment. Yes, I agree. Let's get the likes on. Please hit the like button as you enter the building. Now, as always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much. Okay, and I really appreciate all the love and support that you've given me. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media. And I want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter in devices, whether it be live or on the playback. So I'm going to ask you that you do the following. If you have not done so, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to either catch it live or catch it on the playback. Also, I just want to let everybody know that I also have another channel which is brand spanking brand new. It is called Golden Spear Folk. The purpose of that channel is to discuss issues pertaining to issues with biracial and multiracial people. And now, for those of you who wish to check out my channel, if you go into the main channel and you go into this section where you're going to see that over 20 channels which I feature. One of the channels that you're going to locate is the new channel called Golden Spear Folk. So I really would appreciate if you can help me and grow that platform as well. So that being said, I do want to make one announcement, which is a slight change. Usually, when it comes to this platform, I usually do a Tuesday show, a Thursday show, and a Friday show. With the fact that I have a new platform, what I'm going to be doing is going to be a Sunday show, a Tuesday show, and a Thursday show. So I try to give myself at least one day to think about and to recover. And also, I want to ask if you have not done so, please subscribe to Wine and FaceTime on her channel. I might be posting some pictures on regarding Thursday. Yes, I am going to the gala Thursday. I will be attending as a guest of the union, which I really would appreciate it. And for the benefit of those who are not familiar, every couple of years we have a banquet in honor of our late president, the great Charles Ensley. And the local 371. Oh, cool! Y'all going? Good, wonderful. So we have established a scholarship for those who plan to go to college to get their master's degree in labor studies. So it's always a wonderful event. I'm not going to lie, the tickets are expensive, $150, but all the proceeds will go to raise funds for the scholarship, which is always a good cause. Okay. So enough being said, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the main topic. So the main topic for tonight. Okay. Well, I will definitely be looking forward to you. It'll be an honor. Okay. Just bear in mind that I have a cane, so just if don't expect me to do any twerking or anything like that. But but on a serious note, tonight's topic is how to end toxic relationships. Oh boy, all of us at one point or another have been involved in toxic relationship. And when I discuss and when I mean toxic relationship, I don't mean just in a romantic sense. Okay, it could be also friends that can be toxic, co-workers that can be toxic, supervisors can be toxic, managers can be toxic. I mean, I have been very fortunate in the sense that I have not had to deal with toxic supervisors or toxic managers. Unfortunately, not everyone can say that. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the discussion regarding that issue. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Okay, just give me a moment. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Okay. 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 So I came across this article. Okay. I apologize. Some, uh, okay. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, here. Okay, I see it now. Okay, good. Okay, so this is an article that I came across, and it was published on July 20th, 2019. The next article, and it's a subtitle called "How to Say Goodbye to All That for Good." It was written by John Patrick Hatcher. If you how emotional or physical abuse, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE, or that's 1-800-799-7233, or visit their website at www.hotline.org. That's www.thehotline.org. Okay. Okay. A comment many of us make is letting people stick around far longer than they deserve. Toxic people would rather stop speaking to you than apologize when they are wrong. They do not thank you, compliment you, or give you credit. When a friend, partner, colleague, or family member, toxic people feel entitled to be disrespected. There are many toxic relationships, such as controlling or manipulative, negative, self-centered, or narcissistic, dishonest, insecure, ultimately, and competitive, and secretive, and dramatic, says Catherine Jackson, a licensed clinical psychologist and neurotherapist based in Chicago, understanding what type of way. I agree. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you if my computer cooperates. Number one, recognize you may be in a toxic relationship. Fran Wolfish, doctor of psychology, a psychiatrist, offers a subtle signs of a toxic relationship. Now, this is going to be interesting. Number one, they exhibit excessive charming and ingratiating behavior. Number two, they use the silent treatment as a means of control. Number three, they force your mind to mind read and get vindictive when you are wrong. Number four, they use poison delegation, asking you to do something for them, saying that they can't do it for themselves, but whatever you do is met with harsh criticism. Number five, they constantly correct you. Number six, they lie to you. Number seven, they use projective identification. The abuser treats you as you did something wrong. And if you deny it, they confirm your behavior as justification for the accusation. Hmm, sounds like someone that we know. We're not going to get into details. Um, Number eight, they use sexual manipulation. And number nine, they use denial to convince you their actions are to help you be better. Okay, excuse me. Not being aware the relationship is toxic. In a toxic marriage or often told is great opposite, says Lisa Marie Bobby, PhD, a psychologist based in Denver, outright state, the reason we are treating you this way is because you are not doing a good enough job. Regarding toxic romantic relationships, a key indicator is the marked difference between how your partner speaks to you in public versus private. Okay. Number two. Look, excuse me. Okay. Look for patterns from childhood. The type of toxic relationship that is most concerns Carissa Carlston, PhD, a psychologist at the University of Sydney, is the parental bond from childhood that repeats in adult. The effects of your childhood upbringing extends into adult relationships when you find lovers who are filled the void with your parents created. She says, maybe like your parents, they never make you their number one priority. Always they leave you feeling like you need to work harder to gain approval. But it's not necessary to return to your parents' approval or reconciliation. By releasing the past, it is possible for you to alter the way you look at potential partners in a way that enables you to achieve romantic success with a person who empowers you, says Dr. Colston. Let me just move this. This is something I'll help you to end. Excuse me. Okay, let's see if we can. Okay. Number three, prepare your finances. Many relationships are toxic and remain today's married join a psychotherapist and counselor based in Florida. Family members have less controls who have their own independence financially and in all aspects of their life. So if that means you have to spend a couple of months or even a year getting your finances in shape before cutting off the contact, put your initial energy towards achieving that goal. The next thing to consider, seek outside help. It often takes an outside perspective of a therapist, coach, or insightful friend to help someone understand that they are not acting as Dr. Bobby. If you suspect you're in a toxic relationship, the best thing you can do is find a healthy, supportive relationships with other people that help strengthen you. Shift away from blaming yourself and help you start planning your escape strategy. This premise is reinforced by Dr. Carlston, who emphasizes that an appropriate professional, such as a clinical psychologist, can help you learn how to challenge and reshape. Number, speak for yourself. Or because using reason and rational with someone irrational can prove futile. Speak up confidently and say that you do not condone the disrespect directed towards you, particularly in instances of verbal abuse or physical abuse. In such a situation, Carla Marie Manley, PhD, a clinical psychologist and author based in California, recommends using quick comment and an accent leaving the party now, and I hope next time talk kindly to me, says Dr. Manley adds. We cannot change the toxic behavior into non toxic people, but we can work on being less reactive. Interesting point. Number six, create boundaries and stick to them. Silence is an act of self care. Most toxic people derive their influence because they prey on the difficulty that con people have in setting boundaries, says Forrest Talley, PhD at Invictus Psychological Services. To start, Shariana Boyle, an adjunct professor of at Cape Cod Community College, recommends putting verbal limits in place that allow a person to extensively vent their problems or opinions. Even know that never assume just because someone is family, they're allowed to mistreat you, says Karen R. Lawson, a psychologist based in Miami. All relationships need boundaries in each relationship you have. Let me just give you an example regarding that. Um, Immediately after the past, I was the executor of a will, and there were certain things that I had to put into order, and then there was certain people. There was one person that made I apologize. I somehow got dropped on the screen. So let me just. I mean, it happens at times, you know. Okay. Up. For example, rather than allow a person to sense an event their problems or opinions while you attempt to and no family. Okay, I would and no and excuse me and no family is an exemption. Never assume that just because someone is family that they are allowed to mistreat you. Are lost and shouldn't be bothered, which is in line which you get to draw in each relationship you have. I decides to act up. Okay. Okay. Now, the next point is do a digital. You need on blocking people. Hello, hello. Can anyone hear me? Okay, I apologize. Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, I understand it now. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? Good evening, Jojo. What I'm going to do from this point, I'm just going to read it. Use Okay, I'm gonna read it through one of my mobile phones because it's just give me a moment. I mean, these things do happen, and you do have to make adjustments as you see fit. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, okay. Number 8, prepare for the counter strike. When it's clear that a toxic person that you're distancing yourself from them or cutting off relationship, they may try to punish you by avoidance, or they will redouble their efforts to keep the dynamic going. But you have to stick to your guns. If you deviate from this role of the patient boundaryless being that the toxic subject needs to you to be, aka have needs, rights, feelings, boundaries, or opinions that are not gratifying to the toxic person, you will be punished, says Dr. Bobby. Stay resolute in plans to extricate yourself. Okay. Now, I do appreciate the fact that we have 6 people. Okay. Yeah, you know what? That I do is my computer is I'm going to drop the link. Okay. 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 Number 9. If you can't break ties, limit contact. There are circumstances that require people to remain connected to a toxic person, like toxic coworkers, a narcissistic boss, or sharing custody of children with a toxic ex. Or they may choose to remain married to a toxic person in order to protect their children from having endured the toxic relationship alone, where they can split custody, says Dr. Bobby. In such cases, it's best to minimize the toxic person's access to you and their ability to affect you. She adds that understanding that you will never feel loved or supported by them, and that they are not emotionally safe people, and will never be can be liberating in that you stop feeling upset or hurt when they behave the way they do. Um, and the final point in this article: try the gray rock method. Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my guest. Now, before I do, I want to let everybody know that the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host of the channel is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to your image. Some of the views that people may hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now I'm going to bring in, if my computer cooking. Good evening.
Hey Jose, how are you doing this evening? Howdy.
Good. I'm doing fine. Yeah. The topic for tonight is how to end toxic relationships.
Well, I definitely have some stuff to say about that for the time that I'm able to spend here for a little bit. But go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good evening, Danamando.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. It does happen from time to time, but it's an important topic because sometimes people don't know how to end toxic relationships. So, of course, your points of view would be welcomed.
Yeah, well, I ended a toxic relationship. Well, it was a toxic friendship. Well, for some reason, it actually ended. It was ended because of the person was lazy. So me and the person had like a cursing and everything like that. So I ended it in bad terms. And to me, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna say that I was proud that I ended up that it ended up in bad terms, but at the end, it turns out that the way sometimes toxic relationship ends is sometimes for the better.
Yeah. Jojo, you wanted to discuss some points on this subject, so go ahead, please.
Yeah, yes. I mean, so I had an ex fiance whom I had probably like the most toxic relationship with. So I was the one who made the effort to end it. So, like, when it kind of boils down to ending it, it also comes down to the fact of accepting your own mistake or mistakes, knowing what happened, acknowledging everything that happened, and then just commencing your healing process from there. But then just realize is that you always have like a chance to like improve. But then at the same time, you either have to just cut ties with that person, or if you happen to have kids with that person, then you're going to have to minimalize your interaction with that person.
Well, you don't. Well, I guess you don't have kids with that person. So,
I did at first, but our son just didn't make it. But if that were the
all
case for
right,
me, bro, as a man, now I'm not saying that everyone should take my advice, but if that were the case, then you should embark on your own healing journey if this woman happens to be your baby mama. But then at the same time, you actually still have to pursue your own happiness. Realize that probably what you have going on with the baby mama is irretrievably broken. But then that's just ultimately where there's another woman out there for you whom you can actually develop a relationship with, and then God could actually bless that relationship. If anything,
exactly.
maybe that stepmommy might be a better mommy who treats both you and your kids better.
Right.
But nevertheless, you still actually have to maintain some level of respect and communication with the other baby mama or baby daddy, irrespective of the fact that you two are just at a point of no return. And that's okay. Just pray for
Right.
that person at the other end of the spectrum. Wish them the very best with their life and their endeavors. But just because you have kids with that person doesn't really mean that you guys need to be buddy buddy with one another. But if kids were not really in the equation, then it's time to go each other's separate ways and just basically be dead to one another, because that's ultimately how you guys are able to feel in order to heal. You can't feel in order to heal if that other person is living in your head rent free or you're still talking to that person.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny that you say that because prior to me being married, I was in a 7 year relationship, and then after a while, she started to have mental issues, and I started to have like stress or whatever. So I had to break it off for my own sanity. But it's like to the point that it was the other day. I tried to break it off, but I don't know how the heck she tried to find me. But I had to actually block her from my channel. So I'm just like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna live my truth with my wife, and that's it.
Yeah, that's ultimately what you have to do, because if you're already involved happily, which you are
Um,
with your wife, pretty much your ex is basically dead to you. But hey, how's it going, Anthony?
Hey, Mr. Anthony.
yes, I just want to acknowledge that Anthony is in the chat, and of course, he became monetized. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out with all the success that he's been doing on this platform. Yeah, it can be difficult, but at times you have to do it uh, for your own sanity. You have to.
So, Don Jose, can you share
Yes.
like any personal experiences that you have gone through when you had to break up a toxic relationship that you had?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you two perfect examples. I was engaged to. She was very clingy, very possessive, very jealous, and she would swear up and down if he saw me talking with another female, and I could be talking about how Beyonce is. She would swear up and down that I was sleeping with her, which meant that I had been sleeping with a lot of ladies. And then it got to the point when I have to end it. Unfortunately, she ended it stalking me for a while because she didn't want the relationship to end. However, for the sake of my sanity, I had to end it. Also, I was married, and the marriage became toxic because there was multiple issues of which she didn't want to address. So I had to end it in divorce, and of course, it ended up to be a clean separation. So at this point, almost it's been over 12 years, which I had absolutely no contact with my ex-wife, and it had to be this way, just you know, just for my own sanity.
Right.
Yes. And hold 1 second.
Yo, yo,
Okay.
before anything, George, are
Yeah,
you
go
gonna
on.
bring the dog when you come to Philadelphia?
Yeah, man, when my money comes in, that's for sure, but it's definitely going to be this year.
I bet.
That's mandatory because I mean, like, I'm not going to say her name, but hey, there's a girl over there that I guess you could say I'm talking to, and I clearly told her that I want to be with her and I want her to be my baby girl. So I actually have to come over to yours and Jose's neck of the woods.
All right, that's good.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you guys know.
Sounds so cool.
Thank
Okay.
you. She definitely is another
Also,
mixie like me, but go on.
now, also, if there's yeah, also if there's any ladies that are in the audience, if they wish to enter their comments regarding whatever toxic experiences that they have had, and it doesn't have to be anything romantic. It could be something as far as friends are concerned or co-workers. You're more than welcome to enter it in the chat, or you can join the panel, and then you can share your experiences. Now, if you don't feel comfortable, I understand that because sometimes people may not feel comfortable sharing certain aspects of their life. And one thing I do want to make it perfectly clear, they're here on this platform. It's a space where people can express their point of views in a respectful and
Exactly. I also wanted to, like, on a related note, address Anthony's comment in regards to how it can be pretty difficult to end a toxic relationship. So for me personally, brother, I do agree with that. But I also think that it can sometimes vary depending on just the individual. For me, it was a piece of cake to end that toxic relationship 4 years ago. Because after my ex had like another flip out, another psychotic flip out, and just that pattern was just not stopping, I just said that, this is the last straw for me. And I packed up all my stuff and I ended up becoming homeless for about like a week until I got myself back onto my feet. That was a very much of a piece of cake. When I left, I felt much more at peace and I felt like my sanity was reestablished. That was like the easiest thing that I could ever do. I don't regret it at all because it was both for my own good and her good too, emotionally speaking, that was the easiest thing to do. So I think that perhaps maybe in my case, it's because, like we had only been together from that time for like about a year and a half, and how perhaps maybe our soul tie wasn't really as strong, and how we were both just getting fed up with just the toxicity of the relationship. So I walked out, and it was the easiest thing that I could do, to where if I wanted to get into like a rebound relationship, I could, without even caring about the fact that I just left a toxic relationship. Because the truth is, brother, is that life is way too short. It's too short to carry all this baggage around. It's too short to carry around all this bitterness. And in fact, bitterness is what's going to cause it's going to cause you to curse the things that were blessed to you. I don't have time to run around with all this baggage and bitterness, because all that's just going to do is cause me to curse at the things that were, grace and blessed to me. So if my previous relationship didn't work, okay, that's fine. Better luck next time. But I'm ultimately going to find and get with the woman I want to get with, and have the marriage and children I want to in this short-lived life that I have. So it was the easiest thing for me to do. But that's just me. Everybody else is going to be different. And however you guys cope or heal or move on, I support you in your endeavors. But that's just the 2 cents I would like to interject on.
All right, talking about toxic relationships, right? I know that this is like an ongoing topic, and certain people might be tired of it. So, out of like your own views and everything like that, I'm talking about social media, personal, and all the other stuff. Like, not talking about ourselves, but I'm saying, like, in your life experiences, which toxic relationships that you have seen just fall apart, or people that you personally know that are still in toxic relationships?
Quite a lot, though. It's just because also there's a lot of lust that also goes on in toxic relationships. In fact, they tend to be the most lust-driven dynamics ever. And just that lust is just what's making your toxic relationship seem and feel good when it's perhaps the worst thing you're having.
Facts.
That's what's making it difficult. And I can see that, yeah, Anthony is also saying that, yeah, okay, like, it's hard to leave when you choose to have strong feelings for each other. But yeah, brother, I agree with that, though. It's just because of the fact that your relationship is not only toxic, but it's just so lust-driven that, yes, me and my ex, was the sex good? I'm not going to pretend and say that it wasn't. But at the same time, it was making a very sad and sour and insipid relationship feel really good.
Yo, Dad.
And here he is.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Jose? How you doing? I'm guessing this is Armando. I think it's and George. What's up, man?
Howdy. I'm glad that you're here, man, because I like your points, but I just had to put in my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't know if you see my comment. I don't know if Jose, did you put that up on the screen? The one about the
yes, I did.
For each other? Okay, yeah, I would say it's hard if
yes,
you
I
guys
did.
still have feelings. Okay, if you still have feelings for each other, that's when it becomes hard. Like where it's like you guys don't want to, let each other go because you've been with each other for so long. I guess it really does depend on how long you've been with the person too, but that could be a hard, thing to do. If that makes sense.
I mean,
true though, and then that's when I was responding by saying is that I agree with that, but then at the same time, bro, this life that we have is super duper short. I don't have time to have feelings for a woman who obviously doesn't respect or love me, because you can't have a toxic relationship and say that you guys love each other.
Well, I would say this. What about what would you say to someone in a relationship who loves the person, right? But they're not in love with that person and they know that, right? Like, what would you do in that situation?
I would have a person like that get the reality check is that although even if you may love that person, that still doesn't make the person right for you. Because the thing is that, bro, toxicity and love and abuse is all like mixing oil in with water. It's either kind of one or the other. Like with my relationship, it was super toxic, it was super abusive, and there was clearly just no respect. Yeah, I love that woman, but there just wasn't any reciprocation.
Right.
When you just don't have that, man, it's just like our car, or your better yet, your truck without its engine.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You
I would
know,
say that yeah.
when everything is said and done, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to have enough love for yourself to know when it's time to end a tie, whether it be something romantic, it could be a friendship, it could be siblings and what have you. Now, when there's romance involved, that could be harder, particularly if children are in the mix. I mean, the best you can hope for is that you two go your separate ways and somehow you two manage to put some sort of relationship deal where you can co-parent and be respectful to each other. And when it comes to friends, sometimes you just have to let certain people go because you're not doing yourself and you're not doing the other person any favors by remaining in a toxic type of environment.
Yeah. I have to elaborate on that because I had a toxic friendship, right? But it started being toxic when I actually moved with my when I moved out of New York City first. So so this friend started calling me all like 9 and 10 in the morning. I had to go tell this friend like, yo, I gotta go work in the morning. Next thing you know, this guy, I guess being the immature jerk that he was, went up and started to talk about all the other like all the old stuff and everything like that, trying to use my past against me. When the fact is, I actually knew certain stuff about his past, and I told him like screw off, jerk. So it turned out that toxic friendship turned into an enemy ship for, let me see, 26 to 2006. Yeah, it went up and it got into its boiling point like around 2008 when I was in like a little debacle or something like that within my life. And this guy decided to try to diss me again and stuff. I told him like how feminine it was. That was 2 years in his mind and everything. So me and him we had like a back and forth, which I won, of course. And in those times I was heavy in the street, so I was actually gonna dole out some street justice to him. But the fact is that when I went to his neighborhood, he wasn't there. So after a while, it just it just it just goes to show you that certain people, they just don't want to see you progress or anything like that. They will try to bring your past to a standstill, thinking that they can destroy you. When the fact is, they don't even know you at all.
Mhm.
You should tell that mofo that, well, hey, trying to live or dwell or bring up my past is like trying to rob my old house. Good luck with that, because I don't live there anymore.
Oh, trust me. I mean, I've cut that person off for like years and everything like that. And I don't even think that if we were to run across each other, we ain't gonna recognize each other because the respect ain't there. And me personally, I'm in a different time frame where certain people that I don't respect can't get to me. And if they were to even know where I was at, I know that they would not set foot in Philadelphia because of its wild reputation.
Mhm. Well, I mean, when you think about toxicity, I mean, unfortunately, we have seen a huge dose of that here on social media, particularly in YouTube, when we're dealing with multiple types of individuals. And you do what you can to try to keep yourself, as I like to phrase, avoid the circus, let the circus be the circus, because you have certain characters who just love to create drama, and instead of using their time to do something constructive, they get personal, they get toxic, they do reaction videos of all sorts. um all you can say to these people is bless their hearts, and just if you have to cut ties completely, by all means do so. I mean, there have been people I have to block from this platform because of their toxicity, and
Hey Jose, is the
it's
okay? So the
contrary to
top.
what I'm trying to do, creating a safe space. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask. So the topic is about just any relationships. It could be friendships and everything, or past
It could
people
be
you
any.
dated.
Yeah, all the
Okay,
It
above.
could be
yeah.
anything.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, there's definitely been situations in my life where it's like people, let's say for example, you're trying to progress your life, right? Like you're trying to go to school, you're trying to save up money, build a family, and then there's still people that want to participate in like immature behavior, you know what I mean? Like being very irresponsible, um, like no matter what their age is. So definitely there's people that are like that in my life that I had to cut off because they weren't pretty much going anywhere. They were going nowhere fast, right? Like as they say, right? So of course those are the type of people you have to cut off because at the end of the day they're just going to end up getting you into trouble. And I had an experience when I hit my 30th birthday not too long ago. I went out with some old friends and then I ended up coming home like super drunk, like super unsafe, like, and I'm just like, man, like I put myself in a situation with, somebody I haven't hung out with in a long time because I was living in Florida, so I didn't see this person for a long time. But you come back, you want to hang out with friends, people that you knew, knowing that yeah, this guy, these people are in, they kind of do careless stuff. The people who go out and party and go to, clubs, and so you want to see your friends. So you go out just to, make sure you still have that connection because you grew up with these people. So, but then just seeing that, like, okay, like the lack of regard for my safety and your safety just really showed me that I definitely changed because I'm like I'm not hanging out with these people no more. You know what I mean? To put me in a situation where like I'm super drunk. You know what I mean? And like you ever knew people who maybe they're able to like they want you to have a good time, so they try to encourage you to drink more and do things like that. Like these are these type of people.
Yeah. I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
me personally, I could tell you about that. Of like, okay, first of all, when it's like friendships and everything like that.
Hmm.
Imagine if you could go back to your old block and everything like that. And I'm just thinking from a New York film standpoint that sometimes you might, okay, yeah, we could go and chill, we could drink or whatever. But if it's to the point that that friend is going to try to mess up your sanity and everything like that, like you got to cut them off.
Yeah.
Like me personally, I'm gonna tell you which is annoying, and I'm not gonna say people's names or anything like that. But okay, I can understand if I help you out once, right? And you're my friend and everything. But then if it's like, how should I say? If I'm trying to go and do a to go, this goes for friends and family. If you're let's say for example, you're saving up and everything like that. The next thing you know, you might be on your last end and stuff because you have to go send and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, I need this and that. But let's say you give them like $15, right? And then they have like the continuation of begging and begging and begging. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like, okay, um, how come you don't work? And I can understand if you understand something, but it's like to the point that they always ask at the wrong time. he could finish paying the bill, and they're like, "Yo, I need like $15." I'm like, I'm all the way like in West bubble crap, and you asking me for $15 over the internet? I'm like, that's tacky, bro.
Can't they just pick
Nah.
up on a side hustle?
I mean, like, yo,
I got a bunch of them.
I'm like, yo, you got to introduce me to some because I need one.
For sure.
Got you.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
that. You got to cut those people
excuse
off.
Go on, Jose.
Yeah, excuse me. I just want to acknowledge the fact that Grand Merchant Uptime is in the chat. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for stopping by. It seems like the men are making their presence felt. I would love to hear what the ladies have to say on their point of view, because sometimes people might think, oh, it's a men's thing. It's a men's thing. No, I mean, toxic behavior is, can be caused by both male and female.
All right, but all right, I'm just asking. I'm just saying this as a joke. Can toxic relationship could apply to pets too? Man, I'm just joking with it.
Gee, I don't have a pet, so I really wouldn't know.
All right, but I'm just saying, like, does that apply to aliens too? No, I'm just joking.
Well, I guess if you can classify some of these characters on these YouTube streets as aliens, maybe that would apply.
No, yeah, I was saying no, because I was saying like lately I was just talking to a friend and everything like that, and I think that like back in our youth or something like that, we actually encountered a person that looked like a Yeti. So therefore, they were actually exhibiting toxic traits. We didn't know if since that person or resembled a Yeti, we didn't know what gender it was, but it we just call that person Yeti. You know what I'm saying? So it was actually exhibiting toxic traits. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. And I see we have Irby in the chat. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Hey,
Ladies,
Kirby.
please, if you want to make your presence felt, by all means do so. I don't want anyone to hear saying, oh, it's a men's thing. No, it can happen to both sexes.
Yeah, I'm surprised women, there's no women calling up, because a lot of women have told me in my past, like, oh, I've been in toxic relationships, and a lot of women go through toxic relationships. So
All right,
Okay,
so
well,
I got a question for all the guys. Now,
What's up?
all right, so we all been in toxic relationships, right?
Right.
But when it's to the point that we as men will have to take accountability for our own toxic behavior.
Do you ask that again, Don? Because we could barely hear you.
I was saying that like we've been in toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When do we as men or as individuals take accountability for our own toxic behavior?
You can answer that, Jose.
I think when everything is calmed down, and you're not yelling or screaming or lashing out at each other, when you're able to sit down and think, maybe my conduct has been a little toxic, but you have to be in an area where you are at peace with yourself. Because if you're in the heat of a battle, it's going to be very hard to do some self reflecting.
Yeah, that's very true. Have any of you guys had any toxic relationships and like as content creators?
Uh,
You
that's okay. So
don't have to say no
technically,
names. I'm just
I no no man. It's just I really had to think hard about that one. So the answer is yes, because ironically enough, both me and my ex fiance were content creators at the same time, and that in itself was also putting like an ugly wedge in our relationship because there were people in her crowd who didn't like me and vice versa. Except I didn't really care about what a bunch of people were saying about me who I don't even know. But it wasn't really like that on the other side, if you know what I mean.
I
yeah.
mean, as
um,
as
And
far
then
I'm
she kept deleting me off of Facebook and then re-added me. And it just became like a never-ending cycle, and that in itself becomes toxic, stemming from what you're sharing on social media and how you're putting out content.
yeah, in my case, right, the most toxic thing, the most toxic thing that that really took up my time was certain people who did not believe my identity. So therefore, all the going back and forth with a whole bunch of blabbing idiots, it became toxic. I ain't gonna front. So when I actually proved who I was, and certain people they didn't want to believe anyway, I'm like, you know what? I'm not. Just gonna focus on my own and everything like that because at the end of the day, you can't go and try to lead people who are actually very committed to misunderstanding. So that is my toxic story when it comes to being a content creator. But other than that, the flip side of being a content creator, I actually get to meet good and positive people like Don Jose, you, and Georgia.
That's true. I'll say I got a
um,
toxic
in
trait because
my
I respond too much to trolls. I need to stop doing that.
there have been times where, when it comes to toxic creators and toxic people, a couple of times I did do a good job in roasting them on my platform. But that's not the entire. That's not the purpose of my platform. Okay, um, I just had to like block people because whenever create a safe space for everyone to share their point of view, and if people cannot respect it, well, do not let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. That's all I gotta say. Are we here?
I'm here.
I would say
Okay.
this: it seems like there's a lot of toxic relationships on YouTube in general, no matter like which space you go into. So it's like almost like unavoidable to meet toxic people. So I guess it is just how you navigate it. Like you said, blocking people, being around people that are good people, um, and things like that. So
I mean, talking about toxic people, it's funny because for some reason, I'm not going to say content creators or anything like that, but someone was saying my name towards something toxic that I had no clue was because I did a stream before. I guess certain people didn't like my guest or whatever, so they try to put me into their garbage and stuff. So I ended up blocking them. And Because this is 2023. I don't really have time for that.
Yeah, that's something I saw in these spaces. A lot of people don't like, if you have certain guests, some people get upset about it. I don't think that's a toxic trait of ours, right? But maybe that's a toxic trait of theirs if they're upset that you have someone on your panel that they don't like because, they don't have to watch it. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed that when I go to certain certain platforms, the host may have an issue with this person and or have an issue with that person, and then when I go to the other side and deal with again on their platform, they're talking about that person, and so it goes back and forth, and it's like, excuse me, I just want to engage in the topic. If you have a beef with people, by all means, that's your affair, so to speak. But look, when everything is said and done, you know, I believe in letting the circus be the circus, and it's been a lot of stupidity that's been done, particularly by certain YouTube creators that have beefs with each other. And it just so happens I'm good with both or all of them. That could be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, Jojo, you have any thoughts regarding what I just said?
Yeah, well, it's just why I'm very much a lone wolf who doesn't really exactly claim any side or is not necessarily going to choose any side, because all I have here is just my YouTube platform along with my Instagram platform. But no one sees me making reaction videos to particular individuals who are also content creators. All I would say is that I disagree with what a handful of people do, but I'm not going to police what they say or do on their channel. It's just I'm going to make sure that my channel is going to stay clear of that and just kick the dust off my feet and keep it moving, as the Book of Acts states.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever read,
Yeah.
remember that verse from like the Book of Acts, Jose, kick the dust off your feet and keep it going? I think that's a really good mentality to have in order to crush and curtail toxicity.
I agree. And it's just that it seems like YouTube attracts all types of individuals, and sometimes they just need to attract the most toxic people, or it seems like their toxicity is on steroids.
It's just because people are addicted to it, though. They like the rush and the endorphins that it gives them, but that's just not the way I'm going to go about with getting some dopamine and endorphins going in my body, because that's ultimately how people get off of it. Like, I know, like, you guys already know my past, but I get people bringing that up 24/7, but that's fine with me, because as I'm about moving forward, they're going to stay in the past and continue to renew their lease with my past, but that's up to them. I'm better than that, to be quite honest. Howdy, Al.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
never mind.
Well, Giorgio, I would like to respond to that.
Right.
I would say, like, you say that people bring up your past, and I have seen people bringing up your past. But here's the thing that gets frustrating sometimes, is that even though people might know it already, people are gonna use whatever they can use to tear you down. Like, that's something that I've seen come out. Like, people who come at me, they'll use anything. You know what I mean? Oh, well, you're light skinned. Oh, well, your mother is, white. It's like they'll try to use every little thing consistently to tear you down. And you do get to a point where you kind of get hardened. Some people get to the point where they run off YouTube. But for me, at least, it just makes me a little bit I guess more hardened to the fact where I'm like, I don't really care what you guys say like that. But it just shows that people are not, gonna stop. And you have to have kind of tough skin to get over
This is
that.
funny, though.
I agree with you with that, because
Yeah.
you could. It's like you could have a whole person that that the only thing they'll try to say is that I speak bad Spanish or whatsoever the case may be. But it's getting to the point that I don't really care. I'm going to live my truth. If people don't like it, I don't care. Because
So,
it's showing.
Show to the conversation.
Hey, Al Show.
hey, how's everybody doing?
We're
I'm
great.
curious, when in regards to the question, is it toxic relationships in general, like friendships and romantic relationships, or is it just specific kinds of
all
relationships?
the above.
All
It
the
could be
above.
your friend,
Okay.
your mother, your girlfriend, your wife, or another content creator.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Good. Well, in terms of toxic relationships, if you could call it that, the only time I've dealt with this is on YouTube. And what I notice is this. I think Anthony brought up a good point. And this is a point that I stress to people when I used to have a series on my channel about YouTube. And that is, don't share your personal and private life on YouTube. And I stress this to people. Don't get into your personal life. Don't get into your private life. If people go and try to dox you or try to bring up, look for it and it gets exposed, okay, deal with it then. But don't bring it up, because I have seen in a particular space when I was around some of the channels there, I've seen people take people's private and personal lives and weaponize it. There's an instance in this space that I used to be around where it's already come out now. This is what I heard about, and apparently it's the case, where a woman who was, I guess, known in that space for being a banker, or said she was a banker, it was found out that she's actually a cam girl working in a dungeon. And that came about because somebody released that. Somebody put that out there on YouTube. And so one of the things that I stress to people is you have to be very careful in regards to who you deal with, obviously, but don't put your personal and private lives out there, because it's something about YouTube and the online world in general where people feel comfortable sharing themselves and their personal lives, their details, and that can be readily and gleefully by others used against you. I've seen this done over and over and over and over again. And so when you talk about toxic relationships, that's a part of it. The people that you deal with, say on YouTube, it will get toxic not only in the way that people treat you, but what they try to say about you and the way they try to come at you. They attack you, they argue with you. I mean, that happened to me, frankly, not long ago on a panel where you had a couple of people from another space come in and try to attack me. So it can happen.
Okay. Excuse me, everybody. I just want to welcome the Radical Latino into the house. Radical, good evening, sir. What you feel as far as how to end toxic relationships?
Oh, hey, Radical. It's been a while. Been a minute.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
Welcome.
I was really interested in hearing the conversation now on as to why this has become a topic, but I think toxic relationships have been something that everybody has to deal with. Me in my personal life, I've dealt with a lot of toxic relationships when it comes to women. Some I will say I learned a life lesson from. Others I kept on repeating. Same old. Oh, you had come from a broken home? Great. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I think just to answer the topic of the question, how to end toxic relationships, I believe it's really up to the individual themselves. They have to want to get out of that toxicity. You know, usually a toxic relationship doesn't go one way; it goes both ways. We have to just keep it honest. You know, when I was in my little dusty period, I would antagonize my girlfriends for them to act up, and then I'll play victim. Like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Why did you have to hit her? But in reality, she's the one that would telling me, "Yo, stop texting Shorty," and I would like text her. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. So it has to come. It has to come both ways. I mean, it has to come both ways. Also, I feel like toxic relationships have a lot to deal with the individual themselves, because one, they're either lacking certain emotional patterns, or they're lacking an emotional not trigger, but an emotional attachment to something, because usually a lot of people go into toxic relationships because sometimes they feel like that's the normal thing to do. You know what I mean? Because they go from one toxic relationship to another without healing, and they think that is the proper thing to do. That's healthy and normal, or whatever the case is. When in reality, that's not the case whatsoever. You know.
Interesting point of view that you're raising, Radical. And the fact of the matter is never truly one-sided. I mean, both parties can be very toxic with each other.
Yeah. For example, look at Blueface and Christian Rock. That's a toxic relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just hit it on the nose.
Yeah, that's a
When
toxic.
when you're in a relationship and you have to knock out and you're knocking out both of your parents, yeah, that's a toxic
Yeah,
relationship.
it's a toxic relationship. The fact that one Blueface is toxic himself, and also his girl, Christy, is toxic herself as well. They both play along with each other with the toxicity. If you see the way she acts is because he enables it. You know what I mean? Also, the fact that he does certain things that make her act a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So again, they both enable the toxicity. It's not normal for a couple to like fist fight in the middle of the goddamn street and then be hugging each other in the next 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Not
It's
yeah.
not normal. That means
Well, that
there's an emotional detachment there that needs to be resolved.
Or
well,
it or
it's not
it
normal, but in some parts of New York City and in some parts of LA, that'd be sometimes an occurrence. That wouldn't be
Oh
too
yeah, no, that's
unusual.
true. That is
Yeah.
true. Listen, I'm
And
not gonna
yeah.
toxic relationships have a
I've visited New York City and I've lived in LA, and I wouldn't bet an eyeball at that. It'd be, I'd be like, I'll stay away
yeah.
from me. But
I would say toxic drug addicted individuals who are in a relationship who are both drug addicted have the same capacity of toxicity. And when I say that is because you will not find the strongest love in the world unless you actually witness a both drug addicted couple or a toxic relationship couple, because they will literally abuse each other, do whatever it takes, but at the end of the day they'll be together even though they're both hurting each other. But the thing is, they're keeping that demon alive. You know what I mean? They're keeping that thing alive within that relationship. And both of them, again, both of them are equally a part of the toxicity, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know if you caught me earlier, Radical, but like earlier I brought up the point in regards to like the couples that you speak of who just keep that demon like going.
Yeah.
Those relationships tend to also be very lust driven. And again, it's just a
Yeah.
lust, which is making your toxic relationship look and feel good when in fact it's like the worst thing that you could be a part of.
because
Yeah.
honestly, that was me in one of those relationships.
Not only
Super duper toxic,
not
keeping that
only-
demon going.
not only
Mistreat-
lust driven, but your decision making goes out the window. You know what I mean? You will be more erratic to make spontaneous decisions with each other, even though those decisions that you guys are making are supposedly to put you guys more together, but in reality, you guys are doing it for no goddamn reason. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause the lust is clouding your judgment, too. Yeah.
I know what you exactly mean, radical.
Yeah, exactly. So like I was let me just give you guys a little small story. I was with this Dominican woman for quite some time, and we were both toxic to each other. She started off the relationship by lying about not only herself but her situation, and I started off the relationship, fucking around. You know what I mean? So it got to the point that we would both break up with each other, have sex with other people, and then come right back. You know what I mean? And it got so crazy that we were literally talking about like me getting her pregnant so we can start a life together, and that might keep the relationship intact. It got to that point. You know what I mean? But when I actually got out of it and I started to think, I started to say we were both adding fuel to the fire. You know what I mean? We were both adding fuel to the fire. She would threaten me certain ways. I would threaten her in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? We were both adding fuel to the fire to the point where it becomes uncharacteristic of you to actually you see yourself back and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Thinking about.
Yeah, what was I
Yeah.
thinking about? This is not me. This is not me. I never did this. And then you start to see that you start mimicking some of those toxic traits.
Thank you.
For example, if you're with an individual, you're with the individual and this individual, they have trust issues and they have to go through your phone, constantly go through your phone, and you let that stuff happen and you do not stop it, you're gonna end up doing the same exact thing. And your justification for that is, well, you're going through my phone. You know what I mean? And not only that little door will open, but other doors will open to the point where, okay, now put your location on. Okay, now I have to know everywhere you're at. Okay, well, you never introduced me to this, but you said you was gonna get home at 8, but it's actually 8:30. You know what I'm saying? So those small
talking about that.
dude,
I'm gonna say
you, those small doors will open to bigger things and bigger things. So my biggest thing, real quick, my biggest thing is after you get out of a toxic relationship, you have to know, first of all, you got to reassess yourself. That's one. Two, you have to know the wrong you did and the wrong that they did. Recognize how it led up to that and try not to repeat it again. So when you do go into those relationships, you automatically see the red flags and have some standards. Put your foot down and say, you are not going to go through my phone. Do you have trust issues? How come you have these trust issues? And if the thing keeps on going, go like, okay, you could go through my phone, but this is going to be the only and last time you're ever going to do it. If you'll do it one more time, we're done.
Man, I've been there, done that. We actually both did it, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of doing.
But these are the things. Promises are not even promises. No, statements and letting people know this is what's going to happen. You have to stick to it. You have to stick to it. The way you have to see it is like you're a parent and this is a little kid. You feel me? So that's how, bro. I used to kick my ex-girlfriend's house, like out the house, just for disrespecting me on like smaller things. Hey, yo, I don't like, yo, you wilding right now. Get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Me personally, it was funny that you all mentioned that because when I got out of my toxic relationship, right, it was like one toxic thing that I could actually say was like, yo, when you actually go and you argue so much and everything like that, It's just that when you go and argue, and then you bring like a toxic trait into your other relationship, and then sometimes you don't even know it because you're thinking that arguing in the street is normal, when the fact is it isn't. So therefore, you have to go step by yourself like, nah,
Yeah,
we ain't gonna do that.
Bringing your pat. You didn't heal in the last relationship, so you're bringing some of those traits into the new one. No, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, like
Excuse me. I just want to acknowledge that Gigi's in the chat. Good evening, Gigi. Let me share with you something that happened when I was married. My ex-wife actually,
back in the 70s. Okay, sorry. Go.
My ex-wife actually had the nerve to ask my mother if I have someone on the side.
That's what I'm talking about. Did she
My
tell the
mother-
truth? And she was like,
Okay,
"Yeah,
my
it's like
mother-
there's a Benzina upstairs." No, I just played. I'm playing.
Actually, you know what my mother said? She said
What
the
she
following.
said?
No, but I wish he did.
Oh wow.
So-
Wow.
So after that, me and my ex-wife, we had it out. It's like, first of all, if you have issues regarding trust or what have you, you discuss it with me. You do not bring your stupidity to my mom, who was 80 years old at the time and in poor health. I mean, look, I mean, that's way disrespectful. Which is part of the reason why
I gather that your
in
mom.
divorce.
I gather your mom didn't care for your wife, your ex-wife.
Actually, at first she did, but after a while, her
Yeah, because it didn't sound like she liked her.
You're not
Wait.
With a response like that, it didn't sound like she
Yeah.
liked her.
Jose,
and again, it may have been a little.
I got a question. Did your wife know that your mom didn't like her like that until that day, or did she find out that day or whatever?
She found out eventually that the mother didn't care about her too much.
Eventually, when? That day or after that?
I think it was after.
Oh, okay. The reason why I'm asking is because usually certain women like to put seeds of doubt into the brains of certain people you hold dear, and these toxic individuals like to do that in order to see your inner circle have some chaos.
Oh, yo,
the reason why I asked that is because not only did she even try to ask your mom, I bet you she probably even tried to ask your friends that, or whatever the case is, or even try to start a fight in public. These are certain things that you have to check automatically. You know what I'm saying? Like with me, I don't even I got to the point where arguments don't even faze me anymore. My wife could be yelling out at the top of her lungs. I want my headphones on, looking at her while I'm listening to rap. I could care less. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when she calms down and she stops that little tantrum, let's actually talk about what's really going on. You feel me? Those type of shit you got to ignore. So what I'm asking you is, since she is your ex-wife, but what I'm asking you is, at that time, did she show certain traits of disrespectfulness besides that?
I would answer that and say that she most definitely did. It's just I would just push them to the side, just thinking that we'll work it out. But actually, you also become a part of the problem if you stick around and you still see the pattern, but you do nothing about it, or you just disregard those red flags.
Yeah,
you become because you can't do that.
Yeah.
Though we also have to be able to like identify like red flags.
Yeah,
if you just kind of continue to let those slide, then we're also part of the problem too.
I'm glad what you said. I'm glad what you said, Jojo, and it's 100% true. the majority of our issue is whenever we do see red flags, we like to ignore it. We don't like to call it out because either we're afraid of whatever the outcome might be, or we're afraid of losing a certain individual because of either she looked good or she brings this to the table or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, red flags are red flags. There's a reason why they're called red flags. Don't ignore them.
Exactly. Me personally, in my own aspect, it got to the point that I didn't really care anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like I was in a relationship for 7 years of manipulation. I got into arguments between, God rest in peace, my mom's, my sister, and then on top of it, these guys who I consider my friends, there wasn't friends to begin with, but you know, it was to the point that the ex tried to be controlling of my friends, and I was like, I didn't really care no more. So it just got to the point that I'm like, you're not gonna tell me what to do. We got no connection, and then on top of it, you disrespect me all day. I'm gonna go where I'm loved and respected. Bye.
Yeah, that's my attitude as well. It's like, okay, since I'm not really going to be welcome anymore in your presence, and then I'm just going to go and find a new woman who actually will respect and love me.
Shout out to
Well-
Grand Meshant Ultima.
Hey, Grant, I think this is the first time we've ever really talked, but I follow you here and there. Howdy.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, and to the entire panel, how you doing, gentlemen?
What's up? What's up?
How are
What's
you?
up?
What's up?
So
I mean, I
was-
got the stories
was
too,
gonna
man.
Oh, gee. Does everyone have
We
stories?
all got the same thing. No. It's
Interesting.
similar theme as everybody else's. Girl with the big booty and the smile, she get to acting up, but I can't turn her loose. We all been through
it. Yeah, yo, what? My ex will flirt with other dudes in front of me, so I could get mad and start fights in Fordham Road.
Oh no, nah, man.
Bro,
That's
it-
you get
it-
left. You get
it was-
left somewhere like
Yo,
that.
It
You want
was
to
it was
flirt?
crazy.
You-
It
you-
was
hey, I'm out.
like me.
Yo,
Bro,
like me,
it was
Radical Latino. I had
bro.
an ex who would do that, but she would basically
Yo,
talk to other
Radical.
guys in the room, and she would yell so I could
wrong
hear it.
story.
Happened.
Yo, that ass, and I used to be like, nah, it's a Guyanese thing. She's just Guyanese. You know what I mean? But no, she's a hoe. She was a hoe. You know what I
Yo,
mean?
that was a straight Bronx action. And I could tell you the amount of crap. It's like this. This is what's funny, and I could say that I'm a handsome guy or something like that. I used to get into. I could just be chilling and everything like that, and then the next thing you know, if a couple of women is like smiling on me and everything like that, there'll be a next thing, 2 or 5 minutes later, an argument.
Right.
Why? Because a woman is looking at me. She's like, I'm not gonna buy you nice things no more. I was like, I don't care. I could buy it on my own. Don't go around and ask for my paycheck whenever you default on a bill
You
or
should have
something
been like,
that.
you should have been like, when she goes, I'm not gonna buy you nice things. Like, okay, I'll ask the one that said hi to me to do it.
Well, that's
Oh no
for a bunch of different reasons.
You
but
want to know what's messed up?
That's just insecurity, man.
Yeah, that is insecurity,
You
man.
want to know what's messed up? Every time she's like, oh yeah, like my ex used to be like, oh yeah, you with another female and stuff like that. She's like, get out the crib, and then she used to follow me with her whip, right? I was like, yo, I told her the last time you kicked me out the crib, I'm going to another chick's house. Or what you gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm like, cool. So beat me up when I'm actually going deep. So therefore, that'll be a good beating, right?
Bro. Yo, Grant, you got any stories, bro?
Oh, I mean, I can piggyback off of a couple things like stuff like that. When I was younger, man, I had my own place, and I didn't want nobody living with me. You know what I'm saying? So some of that stuff I was able to avoid because I didn't allow no. You got your place, I got mine, and
Gotcha.
I don't want you over here too much. You know what I'm saying? Because I was young, man. I was doing things. I was young construction worker in my apprenticeship, making some bread, got all my own shit. I ain't trying to share it. I'm sorry, I'm
See,
slipping
that's
at the mouth
the
cussing. My
way.
bad.
Nah, it's all good, bro. It's all
See,
good.
that's
It's all
the
good.
way a relationship really should be these days, right? The cohabitation thing isn't, to me, what I'm interested in, or it's not. I never really thought much of that, to be brutally honest with you. So the whole idea of you have your place and she has hers, and you keep it that way, that seems to be part of what is the antithesis to some aspect of toxic relationships. Also, I would also say what I think Radical Latino had noted, that people's background in regards to relationships seems to be important, right? If you come from a background where toxic relationships are the norm, then it's going to be the norm in your life, right? But I can see, as a single guy, it's always interesting to me to hear about all these various types of relationships, because I find, as a single guy, I've avoided all this kind of stuff. I'm hearing these stories and I'm going, nah, I never had that. I never had that. I never had that. And I'm going, And for me, I can only say, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I have two basic assessments of relationships, and I never gave that much thought about it until I came on YouTube, right? The first is, attraction is the basis of all relationships, romantic relationships. And two is, if a relationship doesn't fit, you have to quit. So if a relationship doesn't work, I think it's important.
I'm on the complete opposite of that, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's important that, from my perspective. But see, the thing is, I tend to think logically and rationally. And the problem is, when you get into relationships, it's hard to think rationally and logically from what I've observed of relationships. It's very difficult. People try often, but it's hard to use reason.
You're with a woman that's thinking emotionally, so of course it's gonna be hard.
Well, it's the type of man you are too.
I don't characterize women as simply vessels of emotion. But what I'm saying is, it's difficult because you're trying to get something out of the relationship, and the other person's trying to get something.
Yeah.
But where it becomes toxic is if both of what you are trying to get is at loggerheads. See, if you're trying to get something that she doesn't want, and she's trying to get something that you don't want, that is the very basis of a toxic relationship, because the toxicity will conclude. It's essentially like what happens in these relationships. It's like what you need to do with plutonium and uranium. You need to bury it beneath the ground, right? You have to do that because it lasts for years and years and decades and decades and decades and decades. And so what happens when people get into relationships, they try to bury what was mentioned, the red flags. They try to bury that like the uranium and plutonium. They try to bury it deep in the ground. And they try to bury it and push it by it and so forth. But the point that I always make is, if a relationship doesn't work, you have to find a way out of it. Because it's not only essential that you do that for yourself, but also for the other person. Because at the end of the day, it won't be good for either one of you. And so if I listen to some of the stories here, this is why these relationships didn't work, was because it wasn't good for either person. It wasn't good for either person.
I would like to preface what I'm about to say is, I've been the same woman since 2001. Okay, so I've been out of the dating game for a very long time. I'm not a spring chicken, right? And my opinion on some of these things is, as I said earlier when I was on the chat, is that you have to be honest with who you are and know if you're toxic or not, and be willing to work on your toxicity, right? The reason why I've been with the same woman for so long is because I learned what battles are worth fighting. When I said I was going to do something, I did it. If I said, hey, I'm going to be monogamous with you, I meant it. I'm a provider and I'm a protector. And I don't sway from that at all. When I said I was going to be with her, I meant it. A lot of people, they wishy-washy. They tell you one thing and they do another. And that woman can see your actions despite your flowery words. She see what you're doing. And that can cause a lot of problems. I'm not putting it all on the man, but we have to acknowledge our side and what we do. When I was out here clowning before I met my current lady, man, I just do anything. I tell them anything. What you gonna do? You live, and I had this thing where I didn't date women in my city, right? I'd go 60 miles one way, 80 miles another way. You really gonna come driving to see me to see what I'm doing? Well, one crazy one did, but I had little games I played to keep people scent off me or keep the scent off me in general, right? But those are extremes. Not everybody gonna go through that, but I ain't getting no cars scratched up and my windows busted out either, like some of my friends.
Yeah, yo, I know my boy, he decided, I told him not to, but he decided to start dating this single mother, right?
No.
Yeah, crazy. The reason why he ended up doing it is because she's Dominican. Oh my god. And he found her like exotic or whatever.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, bro, go to Burnside. You'll find like 30 of them. So, like, and they don't have kids, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. He was with her for 8 months. Apparently, was the best relationship or whatever the case is. But he had one thing. He said, if you talk to any dude, even your baby father, even though she told him that her baby father died, right?
Wow.
She flat out said, yo, my baby died and all that other stuff, right? He found out that was a complete lie, and she was just talking to him, but not on some flirty shit, but talking to him about the kid, you know, and he was sending some money, you know, her way.
Right.
And my boy was working double time at the job trying to help her out. So he found that wild disrespectful. Check this out. He found out wild disrespectful. So they got into a huge fight. I remember this because that actually happened because me and him used to be roommates.
Mm-hmm.
That happened right in one of my days off, bro. You know when you have a day off and you just want to chill and that's all you like, yo, what the
all
fuck?
hell breaks loose.
You know what I mean? Yo, it was crazy, son. So anyway, she storms out, right? She was like, "Oh, never trust the fuck men." Right?
Well, you told him your baby daddy. That's pretty big, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you know, he said, you know, when guys get off of something, they start talking big. They were like, "Yo, we gonna go to the club," right? So I told him, I was like, "Yo, you gotta chill out. Like, I know this is something big, but you gotta like relax, right?" Past 2 days, right? 2 days passed, right? He's telling me, "Yo, should I hit Shorty up?" I said, "Nah, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. That's a lost cause, bro. Leave it alone. She lied to you. You don't know what she might have lied about. And then you're gonna find out later on. Leave it alone, bro." Yeah, you're right. So me and him go to the gym together, right? He meet that same day, he meets some shorty that works at the gym, right? Mm-hmm. They start talking, he gets the number. We're going back home, right? And we're just talking, laughing. Police. It's in front of our building, bro. They pass me, go to him, and be like, "Are you so and so?" He's like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, there's a warrant out for your arrest for assault of a minor."
Oh no.
I said, in my mind, I said, "Who the fuck did he beat up? I was with him all day." You know what I mean?
Right.
Come to find out, she was so pissed off that he left her, that she went back to the police and lied, saying that, "Hey, yo, my boyfriend, who's not the dad, touched my little girl." And not in a sexual way, but you know, like beat her or whatever the case is. Did you know the cops didn't even want to know or look for proof? They just took her word for it.
Right.
They didn't see no bruises. They didn't, bro. He got arrested, and I said, the first thing I said was, "Yo, rent is due next week. What the fuck is happening?" Right? And then the second thing I said is, "Yo, like, what the fuck just happened?" You feel me? Bro, when he called me the next day. He calls me and he tells me, yo, this is what's happening. Yo, I need to get bailed out. Blah, 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 right? And we find out the whole thing. Long story short, Shorty drops the charges because I become a witness about that little fight that happened, right?
Yeah.
I become a witness, and I was like, nah, he never touched the kid. Actually, the kid wasn't even there. You know what I'm saying? So that's to that level.
And no
that
repercussions for her for false
Yo,
reporting.
dude, bro, I thought she was gonna go to jail, and I even asked the lawyer that my boy had. I'm like, yo, so they're gonna get her, she's gonna get arrested, right? He's like, no. I'm like, what? What you mean? No, she's just lied.
So fast. I don't play like that, man.
Oh no! What you gotta do is you gotta go to the precinct. Now what you gotta go is get a restraining. Nah, for what? Nah. So nothing happened to her. The state decided to drop it. You know what I'm saying? Lack of evidence and all that other stuff.
Did this happen in New York City? Did this happen in New York City?
This happened in New York City.
Yeah,
yes.
That's why. There's no way they're going to waste their time going. No DA, no prosecutor is going to waste their time.
Yeah, dude, it was insane. It was insane because
false police report. They're not gonna waste their time. It's like, okay, the charges dropped.
Yeah.
Because so many
the jurisdiction I live in, they do something about it. Believe me.
Bro, I don't know if it because I live in a Democratic state. I don't know if that's the reason why. But maybe if I lived in a Republican state,
in a major city, they're not going to waste the time. You have to understand when you're dealing with the criminal justice system, and you're also dealing with prosecutors, DAs, and so forth. They're not going to if they don't see some benefit out of it. It's false police report. People make charges all the time, right? They say, "Oh, this person did this to me," and they drop the charges. That happens.
Yeah.
This is a lot more serious a charge. That's the problem. Right.
Because the way the lawyer broke it down to me was they rather arrest drug dealers than some girl trying to get a vendetta over somebody. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but if her scheme worked, he'd be doing
in New York,
time.
Got you.
That's true. That is true. He would have been doing like I think was it 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, but that's on his record.
Yeah.
Bad enough.
And that kind of charge on your record, they see that on a check.
Yeah,
that's bad news.
Yeah,
you a child abuse.
But good thing because the state dropped it. It's not in his record. It's actually like expunged. So
no, they dropped the charge. Yeah, they dropped the charge. It's not a felony.
Yeah.
See, if he went with the trial, or pleaded, and got a felony, yeah, he's through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first it was the first court case to see if it's going to go to trial. The state pushed it back to a month, and then when we went back, because I was like the witness when we went back,
right?
They said, hey yo, like the state is dropping it due to lack of evidence. I'm like, damn. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they didn't want to prosecute. They definitely didn't want to prosecute. They're like, let's get this.
I get because when I spoke to the lawyer, to my boy's lawyer, he wrote everything that I said and sent it over to them. Maybe that when they read the transcript, they were like, we don't got nothing.
Right. You know,
excuse me.
Go ahead.
This has been a very good string, and I'm glad that we had all this interaction. I find it interesting that no ladies have bothered to join the panel, but it's okay. But I do have to stop wrapping it up because I'm going to be doing another night of overtime tonight, and I gotta earn the extra bread, because I plan to travel. So I might do a part 2. I mean, this is very interesting.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking closing statements. So, but I'm going to ask everybody, please, 1 minute, okay, 60 seconds. So whoever wants to go first, shoot.
Yeah, I'd wanted to quickly say something to the Al show is that, Al, since you lived in LA and you may have seen a lot of the chaotic relationships around you. So a lot of chaotic relationships that I've also seen were actually around Bakersfield, which is where my ex-fiance is from. So as you already know Bakersfield since you've lived in LA. So like in Bakersfield, that's actually a very common place for the most toxic relationships that you can ever imagine. Since my ex-fiance came from that neck of the woods, that was just all that she knew. All of her relationships were toxic and they all ended badly. But that's just a vicious cycle with a lot of women in Bakersfield.
Interesting. You know, I never heard that when I was in LA. I never heard of Bakersfield as a locus of bad relationships, but that's good to know.
Yep, it's Central Valley, Kern County, just like north of like like Fresno. That's like Fresno, Merced, Central Valley, Bakersfield, Kern County. But yeah,
right. That's right. Central California.
Okay. Guys, I hate to do this, but I really gotta start wrapping this up. So
yeah, go for
it. So Al, your thoughts, and please keep it 60 seconds.
Okay. All right, timer. So toxic relationships. I can only go by what I've observed online and a little of what I've observed of other people I've known in relationships. Again, it depends on where you come from. Like, are you someone who comes from either family or relatives who have had toxic relationships? You've seen that and you bring it into your own relationships. Or are you an individual who, again, what I mentioned before is, what do you and the woman you're with, if you're a guy, what do you want? Do you want something that she doesn't, and does she want something you don't? The basis to me of a toxic relationship is that dynamic, you know, that kind of lack of dovetailing and that kind of loggerheads. And that's basically what I consider the basics of a toxic relationship.
Okay. Well, Al, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
There's going to be a part 2, and it's going to be done next week because I think we need to continue this discussion. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So now we're going to go to Don Armando and final thoughts.
Yeah. My final thoughts on toxic relationship is this is from my personal thing. Just see the red flags first. Whatever it is, friendship, relationships, or whatever the case may be, and stop them while it can before it affects you in the long run.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Don Armando, for stopping by. And I would encourage anyone to please check out his channel. Thank you very much. Jojo, your final remarks.
No, I pretty much stated them to Al in regards to how Bakersfield, California is more so that bastion for toxic relationships. But since I have about 20 more seconds, I would just say is that just learn how to pinpoint the red flags because they will save you so much energy. Because if anything, your toxic relationship is going to be far more exhausting than your own workout at the gym. And it's just not going to really be worth it. Now, if it's already happened to you, then it was there to serve a purpose for you to know how to identify a toxic relationship. But now, if you hopefully know how to pinpoint it, hopefully you'll make more prudent decisions in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jojo. And I'm going to ask that if you have not done so, please check out both his YouTube channel and Grant account. He does bring out a bit of message. So now we're going to hear from Grant Merchant, his final remarks.
Okay. I would say be the man that you're portraying yourself to be. If you're a stand-up guy, be that. If you're a degenerate, be that and be honest with who you are. That will end some of the toxic issues, because if you're not springing any surprises or deceptions on people, right, even if they do it, that's less they can say against you. And it's easier to pull out of a bad relationship that way if you're honest about who you are on the onset and all the way through. That is my best way of avoiding toxicity or be able to disengage in it easily. I told you who I was, you knew who it was, how I was, and I didn't do any things you're saying I'm doing. That's how I kept out a lot of trouble once I started behaving as the man in the relationships that I was looking for. Right? When I was being a degenerate, I got what I expected, all the arguments and crap like that. When I turned around and turned over a new leaf, I didn't have the same problems anymore. Right? So that would be my advice on how to avoid one. Now, if you already in it, then the mistakes have been made and you got to do whatever you can to get out of it. But once you're out, cut it off. Do not keep going back. And I guess
Nicely
I'll end it
stated.
there.
I like that though. So in other words, be honest and forthcoming about who you are. Don't go into relationships misleading people.
Right. Well, gentlemen,
Okay.
thank you for having me,
Well-
and I hope you have a good night.
Likewise.
Likewise, be safe out there.
You too.
So right now, I'm going to give you my final remarks. There's going to be a part 2 because the fact of the matter is, it's easy to get into a toxic relationship, and it could be a challenge to get out. But we all need to do that at some point if we want to heal from whatever damages that caused. And we have to think about our own well-being. And sometimes a little bit of selfishness is not a bad thing. So I appreciate everyone who appeared on the panel. I appreciate everyone who appeared on the chat. So I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be doing a stream this Thursday at 8 o'clock regarding the art of communication and how we can communicate effectively. And on Saturday on Golden Spear Folk at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll be talking about healing the inner you. I'll be talking about the emotional issues that biracial and multiracial people have faced and how we can overcome them. So I hope that this stream that you found to be a good use and provided some useful information. Of course, all you are welcome to watch the stream in the playback and enter a comment. Just keep it respectful. So that being said, I just want to say thank you very much for your time and your energy and the fact that you could listen to other people that you chose to listen to me. I really appreciate it very much. That being said, this has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. And I just want to say, let's be good to each other. And the fact there's still 7 people watching the stream tells me that this was a pretty good stream. That being said, thank you very much. Take care and peace.
Be strong.